are very interested in. So yeah, now recording has started, and yeah, everyone should be aware of this fact that it is recorded, what now is saying.
Okay. Yeah, so do we already have a protocol Etherpad, like a pirate pad or something?
Yes, I will paste the link. So this is just a blank notice pad, and as Alex already mentioned in one of its mails, the agenda is not fixed already, so we need to have an ad hoc agenda, and yeah, we'll see what will happen.
Yeah, so maybe we start with a short introduction, so everyone could tell each other what's their background or something like that.
Okay, so I will start. My name is Merkbefreiter, or Mark in real life, and I'm member of the Pirate Party in Hessen, and I'm a member of the AG Meinungsfindungstool since the founding of this Arbeitsgemeinschaft, and I'm very interested in learning new things, new concepts, new ideas of Meinungsfindung. What's in English, I don't know. So what is Meinungsfindung? Opinion making or something like this. And I'm very interested in new concepts, and let's see what the evening brings, new information.
Question. Who of these participants is actually not able to speak German?
I'm not.
Okay, case cleared.
Am I the only one? Just to know.
I think so, yes.
Whoops, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I think it's no
hope so.
problem.
Or maybe if it's a problem, you can also, or everyone could also speak in German, and we can translate or something if it's a problem otherwise.
I don't know. I mean, I used to
we'll
give
see.
talks in English.
Yeah, okay, we'll. When it's difficult for someone to describe something very specific, then he might also switch to German, and then we translate or something. I think that's. I don't know the background of every person in this chat room, so I don't know. So let's see, and then we'll switch to German and translate, or yeah, let's see.
If there's any help required, I'm a native speaker.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So you can translate if a need arises.
I'm also one man who has difficulties to speak in English, and I hope I can understand you, but I hope you will translate in German the crucial difficulties for me.
Okay, so Roddle, maybe you can translate.
Yeah, but I think Wolfgang. WS is Wolfgang, and if you have difficulties to understand, then just give us a shout, and then we will slow down or translate. So to translate everything, I think it's too hard.
I hope we will have a result, and I can read what the results of this discussion, and I will only hear what you say, and I hope we will understand.
I've just Googled, and I think the appropriate expression for Meinungsfindung is sense making. So maybe this is the expression which we will talk the whole evening now. Sense making. Okay.
That's unexpected for me.
To my person, my name is Oliver. On the internet, I'm Slash, and I'm a member of the Pirate Party, and I'm from Düsseldorf, North Rhine-Westphalia. And well, why I'm here? I'm here because I'm sick of repeating myself in discussions, and instead of doing this over and over and over again, I made the decision to seek for the key to avoid this and to make discussions more effective, so that we all come forward regarding certain issues.
The translation sense making doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That's what in English, if you say das macht keinen Sinn, you say doesn't make sense. So the translation I found was opinion forming.
A lot better. I like this one.
Yeah, me too.
Opinion forming, it's good.
Okay, so should I introduce myself?
Sure.
Yes, please.
Okay, so my name is Pietro. My education is I come as a mathematician, and about 3 years ago I left my field of research, which was bioinformatics, and moved into e-democracy. And I made a first website and system which was using mathematics to make opinion forming, which was called Vilfredo. Maybe some of them knows about it. Thomas for sure knows about it, probably more than he would like, because we speaking about it a lot. And eventually, after a couple of years of working on this, a few limits of this system came out. One of them is that it doesn't scale up, in the sense that it's good for small groups of people, small technical groups of people, but it doesn't scale up to bigger groups. And also the second thing was not a problem with Vilfredo, but I realized better what was the key thing on which I really wanted to work, which is fair participation. That is, how to make sure that everybody who participates have equal possibilities to be to have their voice heard, independently of how many friends do they have, or how good, how technical they are. Well, how many how many friends and how technical they are, ideas and so on. And so right now we wrote a second tool, and now I'm presenting a third one. I am on the verge of thinking about a third one, so it's very much research in process.
And it's interesting to see how this works. For my case, you have to think of me as someone who is from the street and doesn't have a clue about what your tool is all about. So could you give us an insight how your tool works?
Yeah, but later, I think. So first we should fulfill our round that everyone will introduce itself or himself, and then we can go into more details and talk about some concepts and tools and whatever.
Agreed. Later I'll be very happy to speak about them in details.
So why not set an agenda right now? So we make an introduction round, and then we'll find out who wants to present. We find out an order of the presentation, and we find out the time that everyone is allowed to speak.
Yeah, but let's go forward with the introduction.
Okay, so next one is I think Deep Look joined us. I don't know. So maybe he can introduce himself.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm Dino German. Actually, I'm trying to follow a little bit here, but due to some problems at home, I might not have enough time to take part over the entire meeting. I'm very sorry. I'm very interested in the topic. I'm a computer scientist by profession, so to say. I'm very interested in liquid democracy. I joined the Pirate Party because of their liquid feedback system, which I was very enthusiastic at the beginning, and I'm much less enthusiastic right now after a few years. I would like to see something better, and I'm following the mailing list here, hoping that something better will emerge one day. And as I said, yeah, I might be away in, I don't know, a few minutes, maybe half an hour or something like this. Don't expect too much input from me. Thanks. Thanks.
I would like to have eventually some input on what are the limits that you see on a liquid democracy.
Yeah, we should talk about that later too. So let's just maybe finish the introduction round. And by the way, the session is recorded, Dino. So if you are interested, you could also listen to it later.
Oh, that's great. Thanks.
Who's next? I think I confused the order.
I guess it's Ronald. You didn't done it.
Me?
Wasn't it Parch? Parch says, have you introduced yourself?
No, not yet. Okay, so my name is Alex. I also have a computer scientist background. I was a completely unpolitical person until a few years back when I searched the internet for some way to become engaged, because I wasn't so happy with everything that was happening around me. And so I joined the German Verein Mehr Demokratie, because that's the first thing Google told me. And then I participated and met with them, but they're around maybe 5,000 or 6,000 members. And through them, parallel to that, I learned about another Verein called Liquid Democracy e.V. that's based in Berlin. And they have a developer who invented Adhocracy. That's a software system for the same purpose that we talk about all the time. And then we used that system in Mehr Demokratie to try to bring all or more people to participate online about what should the next move of just to talk about the marketing campaign and get input from all the members, because the only other way to do that until then were using their internal magazine that comes out 2 or 3 every quarter of the year, and you can eventually put a text proposal in that, and then but it's very slow. But unfortunately it wasn't adopted so well. The main reason was, I think, the Vorstand or the management team of that Verein of Mehr Demokratie, and so I didn't. So I quit. Right now I'm not a member anymore because I don't believe that they really bring it forward. But they still do their work in promoting Volksentscheid, what's it in English? I don't know. Maybe, yeah. But then I participated a bit in Liquid Democracy, based in Berlin. But their approach was to foster development of different software tools that want to make democracy better. But they were very focused on autocracy. And there was a project with the Deutsche Bundestag and the Internet Enquete Kommission, and there are some other projects where autocracy is involved. and they do their job, and people learn about such software systems like autocracy. So that's good in some way, but for me, autocracy was not that good because it had certain limitations. Then I learned also about liquid democracy, but then later on I found meta government. That's another organization, or like an informal organization. I don't know about the correct terms for that. And there I learned a lot about very different platforms from all over the world. And yeah, okay, but more on the details of that, maybe different platforms later. And then I went on with Occupy when I Occupy, because I'm from Frankfurt, and there was the Occupy camp in Frankfurt, and then I went to them, and they had working groups about democracy and how they have an offline system that's called Assemblea, but there was like two fractions. One that's the offline fraction, or and the other group is the people who are more engaged through the internet. But there was no communication between those two groups, and so we talked about a bit about how we could improve on that. But it still turned out there weren't enough people who were really going into the details. So I came back to meta-government and to some of their projects. And then after a while, I joined the Pirate Party, and because they had liquid democracy and no other party had, and yeah, so some way or another I ended up in Meinungsfindungstool, because that was the closest to what I've been searching for, but still I don't know where the journey will end. Okay, so that's for me.
Okay, so I continue. I'm Thomas, and my background is more in theory, not so much in technical development or programming or stuff like this. It's more theory, sociology and political sciences. Yes, and how did I come to e-democracy? It's quite a while already, and it started all with meta-government. This was the first group I found which had was active in the field, and not much longer later then I got involved with Motorola, which is a special software, e-democracy software project, and I'm still there. And what makes me really happy about this group here is the intention, which I learned about, the intention to find a way to connect different tools, different e-democracy tools, so they can work together. Or one could say, so the people, all the people which are using all the different tools can switch from one to another and try them all, and back and forth and so on. Yeah, and I believe that this is a very clever thing to do, actually. So I'm happy that I found those people. Yeah, that's for me.
Yeah, and I am the last. My name is Wolfgang Schalen. I am an old construction engineer. I did work about multi-level control systems in construction engineering and expert systems, and I hope we can arrive at a tool which is it's not good if I try to speak here. I hope I can understand too, and I hope
you could
a resolution.
Maybe you give your introduction in German and then we can translate, if you want.
I'm afraid it will be many time. The translation, I hope, is not not necessary.
Okay, so I will add some words to Wolfgang. Wolfgang is also the founder of the so-called Q-Consens, which means qualified consensus. And yeah, we decided in this Arbeitsgruppe that we will implement a prototype of Wolfgang's concept and ideas as a first prototype for our system we are planning to realize. And maybe one of us can give later a short insight of what we are planning to do and what the discussion in this Arbeitsgemeinschaft is all about. And yeah, that's it. And so I think we have also stepped over Schnittmenge, isn't it?
Yes. So my name is Daniel Juling. I'm German, but I live in Barcelona. Maybe I come back now to Germany. It's still open. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I was quite interested in sociology. And I like Meinungsfindungstool because I think about how to create collective intelligence for more than 4 years now. And I have one platform, his name is consensus.org, where the basic idea is more people talk together and better are the results. And the upgrade is now wiki 9999.org, which is based on different kind of theories. On the one side on Jürgen Habermas and the idle speaking situation, and also how to solve social dilemmas. And I'm very happy to see that we learn in this Meinungsfindungstool working group that when anybody tries that his solution is the best solution than the other, we have a social dilemma because nobody come through with his ideas, so we are blockading each other's. And I think the approach what we have at the moment that we think about a way how we can plug in the different kind of solution in order to make a certain way of competition and to create a self-learning system where we will use in the future a mix of different kind of plugins. What we at the moment don't know how will be the mix in the future. So for me, it's a self-learning system. And one thing further, to solve social dilemma is very important for me. And what is also very important for me is in the discussion system, the misuse of power. And therefore, I think this is the most important point in politics. And the division of power is one solution. And I think with the internet, we can have a bigger division of power in that way that we have a decentralized solution. So when you compare this with Git in comparison with normal and subversion system, so I think the Git approach where we have a really decentralized solution is the thing what we should go, in my opinion.
Is that it, Schnittmenge?
Okay, yes.
I have to say I really like the Git idea. I've been thinking about it for quite some time also. And if we want to explore this further, I'll be very happy to do that.
Wiki 9999.org has this kind of decentralized approach. So I am inspired by Git, and I think this approach, what I proposing, goes in that direction.
What is Git?
Git is a supervision control system where programmers, when they work on the code, they can put their code in the Git repository and they can share with other people. And this is very interesting. And the Git approach is that anybody can have his own repository. And so it's like a evolution process because there's no one centralized repository. So there's no one with the power with the whole code in one project. And somebody think he has to add something, please help me.
I'm impressed by how you explained it. It's okay. But honestly, you needed to read or follow some tutorial about it, because it's so mind-blowing the way in which it works that only after following those tutorials you kind of understand them. At least was like this for me.
Okay, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Ronald Grindle. I used to be politically active a long time ago. I left politics because I was totally pissed off with how politics actually work. There was very little actual political work and a lot of social activities and power plays among people. And so I left them because they were not focused on the content and the outcome, but they were more focused on connections and networking and stuff. Still, I couldn't really let go. So I thought about it for a long time. And then something like 3-4 years ago, I started developing an idea, and I'm the kind of person that does not fling out something that is half done. So I took my time to develop what I call the Architecture for Democracy 2.0. And with it came a software solution that is called the EIPW. And that's what I wanted to show you here. I came to this conference via the Metagov government org platform, where we had some discussions already. That's it for me.
Okay, so I think everyone has introduced itself. Now there was idea to make a short a structure for the next, I don't know, 60 or 70 or 80 or 90 minutes, so that we will have a structure of how we will discuss, or how we will present the ideas, and who will present the ideas. So I think, are there some ideas how we can organize this so that we have that we are not that we can have this discussion in a more structured way? Any ideas?
Can we please first get to the people who have to leave to speak as the first people?
That's a good idea. Who has to leave first, and who wants to say something? Or even should we say, okay, we will first have the decision that we say, okay, everyone who will explain its concept and ideas can speak for 15 minutes, and that's the maximum of speech time.
Yeah. Is there someone who has to leave and wants to say or say something? Explain the system, or I don't know. So if not, so then we can just start with the 50-minute time slots.
I'm not so sure about this. I mean, we all said who we are as a person, but is our working group, we didn't set so intensively what this working group stands for, and I think it would be good to just say a few words to this. Am I the only one who thinks so?
No, very good idea.
Okay, who will do this?
I'm trying to, and I try to make it short. So
And should I paste some pictures to the graphics, or doesn't this make sense?
Rather not so much. I don't think that this is necessary. So I try to break it down. Regarding this topic, democracy, the Pirate Party in Germany is pretty famous because it tries to participate its member bases instead of that just a few people are making the decisions. We have a software which is called Liquid Democracy, and this is a decision system or resolution system, so a tool.
Liquid feedback, you mean?
Liquid feedback, right. And there you make decisions as a group. And by this software, we enable every member of the Pirate Party to give his or her input into our decisions. And that's great stuff. That's for what we are famous. And we are using this now for more than a year. And in the course of the time, we made some experiences which brought us to the point that just this decision system alone ain't the perfect solution for this whole decision-making process. And the working group in which we are all in right now, sees this decision-making process like this. This decision tool, which we have right now, is just the beginning or just a piece. And we see the decision-making process in 3 steps. The first one is you inform yourself. The second one is then you discuss. And the third one is then you make a decision. And right now we only have a software for the last step, and we think that the other 2 steps are very important and fundamental and should have their own software solution. And concretely, this working group right here tries to create a software for this discussion process. And we work intensively since the beginning of this year. And after a couple of different approaches and lots of discussion, we came to the point that the smartest thing would be to create a framework. And there were a lot of ways, or let's say, I don't know how to say it right now. A huge question regarding our work is what is the best approach to transform discussion in software. And regarding this question, everyone has a different idea. And we think the best thing would be if at first we create a framework, which is a kind of databases, the fundament for our work. And on this fundament, on this framework, we implement the different discussion methods as plugins. So that we have a couple of plugins which are all on basis of this fundament. And so we have the possibility to test out in real life, in praxis, what is the best decision approach. Because if we don't go this way, then we just would have like religious-like discussions, and it's highly theoretical. And one otherwise one couldn't say what really is true and what approach really is good and what approach is not so good. And one point I'd like to mention regarding this decision tool, liquid feedback, you asked what problems we see in this, and I just like to hint on 4 things which I don't like about this tool. And wait a short time. Yeah, okay. Now I'm seeing it. So my problems with liquid feedback are that just one person decides the course of a discussion and not the whole group. So liquid feedback works like this. Anyone starts an initiative, like I don't know, shall we abolish copyright? And the one who started this initiative says how the standpoint is. The group can give him input and can say you should do it like this and like that, but he doesn't necessarily needs to incorporate these hints. So this is one point which I didn't think is that good. And another problem is that you can't make a hint on a hint. And the third point, which is not so good, is that it's very complex. And it's not that you look on an initiative and then within 3 minutes or so you have the essential points in front of your eyes. And this is another point which I disapprove of. And the last point is that, well, it's not, how shall I say this? It's, you have this initiative, and then at some point a decision is made, and then it's forgotten. And a couple of years later, if this topic once again is on the table, then you need to do everything again instead of using what you have done in the past. And this is such a waste of mental resources. And I think if we have a discussion system before the decision system, and this discussion system really archivates the discussion effectively, so that you just need to continue instead of doing everything once again, then it would be a huge progress for all of us.
Okay, so
Thank you.
those are
Thank
two.
you.
What was the fourth one? You mentioned the owner of proposal owns the proposal, the very complex interface, and there is the fact that there is no good archive system. But you said there were 4 problems. What was the first one?
My first one was that the one who starts the initiative says how it will develop, and not the group. The second was that one can't make a hint on a hint. And the third one was that it's very complex, so that you don't see the essence of a topic at one side. And the fourth was that the discussions are all forgotten.
Okay, thanks.
Could you take a look on the pad and maybe you correct the 4 points or something like that? I'm not sure if that's right now.
Okay, I'm doing it.
I'm not I don't know very much. I've used a little bit liquid feedback inside the Pirate Party in Italy, and so I get an idea about the last 3 points. The first one, I can understand that there is an owner of a question, but I never actually started a question myself, so I don't know what kind of power would I be given if I had that, if I've done that. So,
could I say something on that? I think the problem is because if someone starts a proposal and the discussion starts and everything, then it's very hard to fork that proposal, or you just copy it and create another proposal. But the users won't necessarily see this and they won't change, or there's some kind of barrier for them to support the new proposal, or the one who's first there has the most is most visible, and maybe there's something like a barrier that we can lower, so that it's easier for people to switch, and then everyone could own his own proposal, but it's not a problem because people can easily switch. But because there's this barrier for different reasons, that might become a problem.
Okay, I think we shouldn't talk too much about liquid feedback, and I just want to say one word on it. So I think liquid feedback is not for discussion, but for decision, and that's the main problem. So the whole concept of liquid feedback is based on how to make a decision and not how to make a discussion. And I think what we want to achieve is that we have a good tool for making discussions.
I have a question. I've been, as I said before, I've developed 3 different tools. And the reason why I've developed several tools is because I found that one tool could not cover everything, but some particular question required some particular tools. When you say that you want a tool for discussion, how large the group of people that participate in this discussion should be?
There is no limit, indeed. So, but the tool for discussion, which fulfill all the needs we see, is not possible in our opinion. So this is what Slash tries to explain, that we will have a competition of the different methods of discussion in our framework. So there might be one method of discussion which allows just 5 participants in a discussion, and that's all. And then there is a kind of group decision which then will have one people sent to another group to make another decision or something like this. So we, at this point of time now, currently, we are not able to say what will be the best method for discussion. So we will left that open.
I've come to the conclusion that, just as they say, there's no central tool that can solve the entire problem. But I also came to the conclusion that it's not necessarily required to invent something entirely new, but if you make a smart use of the tools that are available, you can achieve the goal. I think I posted this afternoon an article that explains how these things could work together. The only thing that I found was that in my solution, as I described it in the architecture 2.0, the missing link is something that, like Facebook, but is adapted to the needs of political work. So, but yeah, that's my proposal.
Yeah, and just to add some words to this and what Oliver already said, or Slash already said, is that we see the overall process of opinion making is split into 3 parts, and we will split also our tool or our idea of software into 3 systems. And one system is the information system, which holds all the information you need to to have a context for a discussion. And the second system is the discussion system, where you then can have discussions based on the information from the information system. And the third system is the decision system, which if the discussion on a topic reduces the possible alternatives or opinions, that we can say, okay, we have discussed it this way, that way, now let's make the decision, that we can just hand over the topic from the discussion system to the decision system. And I think this is a very main point of our work and of our thinking, that we have these 3 systems. And currently our working group is just working on the second system, the discussion system.
I would like to add why it's so important to make this distinction. In the decision system is the question of power. Who has the power to make the decision? And in the discussion system, it's very important. There's no power at all, because we want to have the best solution for all. So when somebody has the power in order to say what is right and wrong in the discussion system, this won't lead to the best solution for all. So this is a very important point to make the distinction between discussion system, where we have to assure there's no misuse of power, and the discussion system is to put down the rules in advance before we take or make a decision. Because when we agree on the rules and how we take a decision afterwards, everybody has to accept this decision made on that rules, what was agreed on. So I think this is very important to take in account that we have a complete different way of approach in order to make the design of the discussion system or decision system. Question?
Well,
No.
actually, yes. Some time ago, in a presentation that I was making, I made the division between drawing a map and deciding where in this map you are actually going. Is this pretty much the same distinction?
What do you mean? I didn't get this.
If I am drawing a map, I do not decide. If I take a map, I do not decide what I actually will do. I see all the plus and minus of every possible decision, but I do not actually decide. Then the decision is, okay, given that this is the map, let's go there. That's the decision.
I think it's maybe a bit different. I think drawing the map. Oh, okay. Or like the information system for me holds the current map, and then maybe people think, okay, there's some stuff missing, and then you have the discussion system where you would add all the features that you could add to the already present map, and then you have the decision system where you decide, okay, what will we actually put into the to the map, and what not.
I make a try. I think the information system draw the map as good as they can, that everybody is informed which kind of different objectives exist. The discussion system talks which kind of way we want to talk and which way of objective we want to go to, and that several ways and what we can choose from. And we discuss what is the best for all of us. And so we get understanding that other person has another kind of idea, what is the right objective to go to. And in this discussion, we get a clear understanding why the people think different and what could be the best solution for all. And the decision system at the end takes a decision after that discussion, what is the objective, what we are going at the end. Is it clearer?
A bit better.
Keeping asking when
I'll wait to ask when the thing appears in the pirate pad, and then I can see better.
Okay, so I just pasted a link to one graphic. We have to explain the distinction of the three systems, and yeah, maybe this is helpful, maybe not. But yeah, so I think we should move on with presentation or introduction to special ideas and special concepts, which are not founded in our working group. So yeah, I would suggest that we now start with presentation of concepts and ideas.
Agreed.
Okay, so I'm not sure if we have someone for every system that was already mentioned. Could say I'm not an expert on all of these, but there are some the systems I mentioned were autocracy, maybe Motorola. I'm not sure, but I think there are people who know better or more about it. But I could say something about autocracy. But maybe who's there who wants to present something? Like
I'm always happy to do it.
I'm always happy to present Wiki 9999, but I think the people in the group know already the solution, so we are more interested about the solutions, what we not know yet.
yeah, so probably Architecture of Democracy 2.0 is interesting because we're not so into it, and Vilfredo and Motorola. And I can say something about autocracy, or at least my experiences, but I'm not currently into the active development anymore, so I'm not sure what the current state of autocracy is. But I can tell you about the experience I had with it. Okay. So who wants to start? Like we start at the top, so the first one would probably be Pietro. So if you want to start presenting Vilfredo.
I'm very, very happy to start. Also because I'm not at home, and at some point I will have to go back home. So this might actually mean that I can go back a little bit earlier, maybe.
Yeah, but first of all,
So
may I stop. May I ask you to have a look at your configuration? So I have some dropouts when you speak. Did others also have those dropouts when Pietro speaks?
Yes, I have dropouts too. It's very important that this will be continuous because it's very hard to understand him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it feels like, Pietro, you are not pushing to talk, right? It's your microphone decides when you open the channel and when not, right?
No, we
No. I am pushing to talk, but sometimes I censor myself when I'm not sure about something, and so the finger goes up.
Ah, okay. That might be this explanation.
The solution is fast, easy in that way.
Is there any way to kind of fix it so that for 10 or 15 minutes it just stays down?
Nope. You need to press it.
Okay. Sorry, just a second. Okay, so essentially, I've worked on 3 different kind of system, and hearing you talking, I decided to only present one of those system. I will briefly speak about the others so that you understand what they are about and what's the difference between them, but I will only speak about one because I think this is more similar to what you are actually looking for, and is probably more new in the sense of is something that you might not have heard about it before because it's such a different system. The 3 systems are called Vilfredo Goes to Athens, Vilfredo Bubbles. They are both hosted into vilfredo.org, and another one which I'm calling Open Poll, or also Barebone e-democracy. Essentially, the main difference among those systems is what kind of question do they face. So I've noticed when I started testing with those systems that there were 2 types of questions. There was a what kind of question and a how kind of question. A what kind of question is something like, what shall we do about the economy? A how kind of question is, once we have decided what to do, we decide how to do it. Now, the difference is that in a what kind of question, you are happy with several results that you might implement all of them at the same time. Whereas with a how answer, you normally want to have only one result, because if you apply one of the results, you might actually stop yourself from being able to apply another one. So if you want to build a car, the how is, how shall we build a car? And then if it has 4 wheels, it cannot has 2 wheels, and it, the way in which you describe it will stop you from having other options activated. So the first system that we developed was the Vilfredo Goes to Athens, and it turned out to be very good for how questions and for small groups of technical people. That is, groups of people in which everybody was either technical enough to understand the other, or at least technical in something that was really important. So you might have an engineer, an economist, and a doctor, and all of them have to describe how to build the next hospital, and each of them will in what the others don't know, and will stop silly ideas from others if they know that from their field they would not work. Instead, the other systems tend to work on the what questions, and my understanding is that what you are looking for right now is more a how system, also because the what system tend to have less just a second, I have to think. It tend to have less manipulation in a positive way of the answers, in the sense people, the system that I developed don't permit so far to someone writes a proposal, someone else modifies it, someone else modifies it, and so on. They are mainly fair polls where you can present open questions and so on. Whereas Vilfredo Goes to Athens is really a system where you go through several proposals and then you modify them, and then you modify them, and then you modify them until you reach some sort of consensus, or you don't, in which case, but it's very clear what the problem is. So I will actually speak about Vilfredo Goes to Athens right now, and okay, so just a short height of sense of hands. Can you just press a second the button if you already know about Vilfredo Goes to Athens, just so that I see how many. Okay, so Thomas and Alex, if I get it right. Okay, so I go to the beginning. Essentially, Vilfredo Goes to Athens is a system that tries to answer an open question through several approximations. we call a human-based genetic order, a human-based genetic system, which actually means everybody can present their own proposal, everybody evaluates the proposal one of the other, and then the system extracts some of those proposals and presents them to the next round. And then those proposals are used as seed to go to the next round and ask people to write a new proposal and so on. So essentially is a system that goes through generations, and each generation has a writing phase and a voting phase. We're now considering adding other small phases to permit to people to comment and explain why they liked, and more importantly, why they did not like a particular proposal. But so far, we are still sticking to the old system. So you can think of it as having a metronome. You know, it goes click, write, click, vote, click, write, click, vote, and continues like that. And essentially one click, you can go from one click to the other in anything from 5-10 minutes to 3 days to 1 week. It's better not to go beyond 1 week. So that's the first element. When proposals are evaluated, they are evaluated using approval vote. And it's important that we use approval voting, and we don't use Schultz voting, and we don't use range voting or anything else. The reason is, and the reason will become clear when I speak about the next phase, because at the end, out of all those proposals, the system needs to select few of them to present them to the next generation. And to do this, it does something which is called Pareto front. Let me write it down so that you know how it's written. And a Pareto front essentially is a mathematical tool, and it's based on another concept which is called the domination. We can say that under particular circumstance, we can say that a proposal dominates another. So imagine that you have your sea of proposals, and you can say that every now and then one proposal is better than another. You don't know about most of the others, but you can at least say this, that the proposal A is better than the proposal B. And then you take away all the proposals that are dominated. Yes, I wrote it on the Piratenpad. Then you take away all the proposals that are dominated, and you remain with the Pareto front. Now, of course, the Pareto front depends on what domination function do you use, and you can use several different ones. And the one that we are using here is this is probably the most revolutionary thing that that it really takes a lot for people to understand. I mean, even when I explain it, even if you think that intellectually you might have understood it, really you have to go through 1 or 2 questions of several rounds before you really get it. But in a sense, it's once you get it, it's really, really nice. And I'm still learning things about this process myself. So the domination function is very simple. A function A dominates a proposal A dominates a proposal B if everybody who votes for B also votes for A, and in plus you have someone else that votes for A and doesn't vote for B. So you have the people who vote for B are a subset. It's not just that there are less people, it's that everybody that likes one also likes the other. So what you actually have is everybody writes all the proposals that they like, and then the system automatically finds out all the proposals that are being dominated. Now it's interesting that once you take away all the dominated proposal, the Pareto front, which are the remaining one, will be representative of all the people that have participated, in the sense that everybody who has participated will always be at least in one of those proposals. I mean, if I have participated, if I have voted for something, at least one of the things that I have voted will be there. So I will never find myself in the situation where the Pareto front does not represent me and it's only the will of the majority and I am very angry about it and so on. Now, I can enter into the mathematics about why it is so. You can read my papers. My papers are on pietrosperoni.it. It doesn't really matter. The important thing is this is something that happens. This is something that happens. Now, the next thing that we found out is that not only we can actually find those this Pareto front and then use it to seed the next generation. So essentially, people write the proposal, people vote for them, and then the system makes the Pareto front, which is representative of the group. Then those are presented to the group and says, this is actually what represents you. This is how near I could get you. And then the system, and then people are invited to write new proposals. Now, and then they should vote again, and it continues like this until there is a proposal that everybody votes for. This is the basic system. Now, the interesting thing is that eventually we found out that with a little bit of a mathematical analysis, we could find which proposals were not voted by a particular person, but if that person has voted that proposal, then the Pareto front would have shrank. Now, this is again a more complex thing, but think about it in this way. Essentially, the systems goes and find which people are being bottleneck in the discussion and preventing the discussion from reaching a consensus. So what the system does at that point is to send an email to those people and say, please, this is a proposal you did not like. Can you please rewrite it? Can you please rewrite it in a way that you actually would accept it? And if this person rewrites it and all the previous person that accepted it still accept it because it's faithful enough, and the new person that has written it also likes it, then this new proposal will dominate both the previous one. I mean, here is a little bit of mathematics, but in any case, the Pareto front will shrink. Okay, let's just get through this. And the interesting thing is that people loved this. I mean, when you present it to people and you say to people, you can do all those things, people, we've noticed, are usually lost. But when you say to them, can you please work on this proposal? Yes, you can do all the rest, but can you please work on this proposal? Because we need you to actually write a version of this that you can actually accept. Then people are happy to do that, and the discussion goes much faster. We did several tests. I will now look for an example of a test, and then I link it so that you can actually see it. And maybe Thomas, you have tried it several times, so maybe you can also say some words about it. Also negative if you don't like it. This is what I am giving you right now is the most successful question. So I will not pretend that I am giving you one question like anything else. This was, it took us a long, we had many questions, some did work, some didn't work, some reached a consensus very easily, in which case there was no real process, but this one did not, and instead the result really represented the will of everybody. And so the system is here. And I'll go now to get you the history. Now the history is here. Now, if you click on the second link that I gave, now you can see how the process went. So at the beginning, we have two graphs. Now, one of the big problems about all this is that I'm a mathematician. The other friend of mine that works with me is a computer scientist. Neither of them is good in drawing and making nice user interface. So the user interface is, technically speaking, crap. And not in the sense that it breaks down, even though it might actually happen, but mostly in the sense that for a concept that is not intuitive, having also it really needs it's very difficult to represent it as a user interface, and we haven't managed to do it. So all the time for a question to work, I actually have to write several emails explaining, okay, now we need to do this, now we need to do this, and so on. Which also means if anybody wants to give us a help, it's absolutely welcome. So as you go down, you can see the various generations, starting from the last one, and then it goes down and you see the previous one, generation 5, generation 4, generation 3, and so on. Now go back at the first one and go to generation 1. So you scroll down all the way down until you are at generation 1, and then there is a graph. And in this graph, you can see people who have participated, all the proposals that they voted, that they wrote, and all the proposals that they voted. A blue line means that a particular person have voted that proposal and everything above that. So a black line means that a proposal above in a black line means that a proposal above dominates what is below. So out of this first generation, we had maybe 12 or 13 proposals, and only 6 of them passed in the next generation. Then, as you scroll up, you can go to the next generation, and now you can see that there were even more proposals, and only 5 made it. But I would like you, by the way, are you all following? Sorry.
Yes, at least I am. Sounds interesting so far.
Okay, so now if you go a little bit up, the generation number 2, I really would like you to look at this graph carefully, because what do you notice? The blue proposals are the proposals that were in the Pareto front, and the height of the proposal, it represents how many people have voted for that proposal. So proposal 1288 had more people voting for it than proposal 1263. But nevertheless, 1263 was in the Pareto front, while 1288 was not in the Pareto front. So essentially, system sort of clustering automatically, and often is also some sort of semantic clustering, but not always. And where if several proposals are similar, the best one tend to be representative of that. Now let's go on, and in the next generation, you can see that only 4 passed. You see that slowly the system is reaching some sort of consensus. People are starting to get near, and then in the next one, there is only one passing. And by the way, in this generation, I did by hand. Now it's not by hand anymore. Now it's coded inside. But at the time, I did by hand the calculation of all the people who were the bottlenecks. And based on that, I personally sent an email to those people saying, can you please work on this, and so on. And the winning proposal was one of those proposals that were rewritten exactly following this request. Request that now is automatic system, so you have an automatic moderation inside. And then as you go on, there was another proposal that was presented, but the previous proposal just won, and so people just remained with the previous one, and so on. So this is the system. It works. So far, the big limit of the system is that for it to work, every participant have to read and correctly evaluate according to what he likes and does not like all the proposals. So you cannot have this system when you have so many proposals or proposals so complex that people do not read them. And so this tend to put some sort of limit on the number of participants and the number of proposals that can participate. This is a good system if you have 4, 5, up to 10, 15 people, and beyond 50, we have found that the Pareto front tend not to shrink. So maybe you have 20 proposals and the Pareto front is 18. And so, the system haven't really worked. So it's a little bit of magic, and it works for those kind of for those levels. Another thing, by the way, I think I finished my time, so I probably should stop and just answer questions.
Wow, first of all, thank you for presenting this concept. Sounds very impressive to me. Yeah, currently no concrete question, but maybe the others.
Pietro, you mentioned that your opinion does not vanish. Kind of hard to imagine that. How does that look like?
Your opinion doesn't vanish. What I mentioned is that every participant is always representative in the Pareto front. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, it was something like it. I didn't really get it. So, it's not actually the wordings that I added to it, but it's my votings that does not disappear.
I don't know exactly what, let me explain what the concept is. Go to the first generation on the page that I've shown. If you scroll down at generation 1, you have this graph. Now let's look at this graph, and you can see every single person that is over there and what they have voted for. Now, if you look, just let's pick one of them. Vilfredo is myself. So I have voted for this, in this generation, I voted for 1190, 1178, 1194, 1196, 1193, 1184, 1185, 1182. How do I know this? Because I follow the blue lines. So you see a blue line, one blue line goes from Vilfredo to this thing on the right, and which has 3 proposals, and another one goes on the left, follow the black lines. Now, a proposal that is dominated, suppose that you voted for proposal A, and then suppose that proposal B dominates proposal, like proposal 1190 dominates proposal 1194. Now, how is it possible that 1190 dominates 1194? That is only possible if everybody who voted for 1194 also voted for 1190. So I, who have voted for 1194, must have also voted for 1190. So I will always have voted for the dominating proposal too, and that's how you are always inside the Pareto front.
Okay, I think I understand better now.
There is also another side of this, that if someone only votes for their own proposal, they can force it to go to the Pareto front. On the other side, and that was a problem for a long time, I thought about how to make it, but then the system, you don't want to destroy the mathematics behind it. And then we found out 2 things. The first one is that if in the graph, in the first graph, if you go, actually in the first table, if you go all the way up, there is a table. And in that in that table, you can see all the people who participated with the blue and red, blue stripes, red stripes, sometimes a blue square, sometimes a red square, and so on. Now, if you see a red stripe which is horizontal, it means that on that generation, that only voted for that proposal. So in a sense, it has cornered the system and saying, I like this proposal and nothing else. Either people like this or we go to another generation. And when people do it only one time, it's no big deal. When people start to do it for a long time, well, then you actually question if those people really want to find a consensus or not, or they are only stuck in their own position and they don't want to find anything else. But we had another question in the past, which was about banks, and we had one person who always voted for his own proposal for something like 7 generations. And when we eventually, a couple of years later, we made the table clear. And I thought we have to really either punish or say something about this kind of behavior, because it's really stopping the system from reaching a consensus. And then a little bit later, I studied better the economy, and I decided that now, if I were in the same position, I would actually vote for his proposal. So in a sense, you can have someone who is honestly believing that that is his proposal, and it doesn't reach a consensus. But, so be it. Sometimes you do not reach a consensus.
Another question, when you describe the bottleneck and how you resolved it, as I see a chance that you might end up in an endless loop. Is that right?
Not really. Can you explain better?
You described that by the system, which I found quite interesting, by the way. You can determine where the bottleneck is, and you can ask people to improve their point of view or change their point of view and change their votings. But isn't there?
No. Sorry. I misexplained myself. You don't ask people to change their voting or change their point of view. Absolutely not. You ask people, and then yes, there would be a loop in that kind of system. No, you ask people to write a new proposal. You say, you did not like this proposal. Can you rewrite it in a way that you actually would like it? And then we present this new proposal alongside the previous ones, and we see if people like that better or not.
And what do you do if you don't have a better idea?
You just ignore the offer. Sometimes there are some situations. Sometimes this system does not reach a consensus. Sometimes this system reaches a polarization where you can really see what is the point where the two groups of people or the three groups of people really are unwilling to cross. And at some point, then you use a normal voting. At that point, if you have as a society to go on, you might use a normal voting, and some people will bite the stick. This happens. But the system, if it's possible to find a consensus, really makes a lot of effort and in a mathematical fair way to reach that consensus. Let me share an URL. I've added it to the Piraten pad. That is the system explaining and reasoning on the first generation of the question that you have seen. So if you go there, you can actually see the report that the system gives at that point, where it goes for each proposal. It says who wrote it, who endorsed it, which proposal this proposal dominated and why. And right now what is missing is writing why does it dominate the other one, because there was not enough space. I want to make something that opens up. But if you go at the halfway at some point, Sorry. At the beginning, you have all the proposals that are in the Pareto front, then all the proposals that are not in the Pareto front, and then you have the alternative history section. I invite you to go to the alternative history section. Now, in this part, the system goes and calculates.
Sorry, where is that? The
in
alternative.
the alternative history is halfway through the URL that I just sent. Found it?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now at this point, the system goes and it gives for each participant what they did not vote, and if they had voted, then the Pareto front would have been simpler. So it says we mailed Vilfredo asking him. This is not true, because this when this question was presented, was done, the system was not part of. But now it is true if you use it right now. The system automatically send an email and say, you are a key player for this, can you please rewrite it? Then if you go under, it says effect of each participant. And so this is also a little thing, because we are not just summing up the proposal, the voting, but we are evaluating the sets. Now, if you take away a person, the set system are totally changing in very different ways. So by the moment in which we now think, suppose that that person did not voted, how would the Pareto front be different? So in this way, each person sees that they had a really effect on the result of the proposal, of the generation. And Thomas, I believe you haven't, you probably did not know this feature, because it's we never actually used it a lot in the meta government from when it was coded.
Yes, I think so.
Any other question?
Pietro, I might have one or two.
One idea or one question, sorry?
One or two questions, maybe three.
Okay.
First one, very simple. You name these generations as you do because there is some evolutionary magic in the background, or could you also replace generation with iteration, for example?
Well, it's just a name. You could replace iteration. We did find that the action of the interaction of the participants tend to evolve and to reach a consensus. In fact, it doesn't work so well if new people are joining the discussion halfway, because they tend to present ideas that have already been presented and discarded by the system.
All right. And next question is, between these iterations or generations, is there something going on? Is the system doing something, or how does it move exactly from one step to the next one?
Okay, so essentially, so far, the person who when the person writes a question, it also defines two numbers, two time scale. One is the minimum time scale, and the other one is the maximum time scale. Essentially, we had a problem that people sometimes would write a question and then forget about it and go away. And so we needed to go from one generation to the other, while we do not actually know who are the participants. So the way to do it is, the way that we choose to do it is that there is a minimum time, and the system never goes from one step to the next step before that minimum time. And then between the minimum time and the maximum time, the person who asked the question can say, okay, let's move on. And then after the maximum time, the system just move on automatically. provided that there are at least two proposals and provided there are at least two people that have voted. Because of course, if not, the system just remains stuck and waiting for enough data. But this system can absolutely be modified. I mean, you can have that you define who the participants are, and it only moves on when everybody has participated, or when half plus one vote, okay, let's move on, and so on. It's not really relevant to the magic of the system, the way in which it moves on. We've used this system, but it can be changed.
Okay, and maybe a last one. I forgot to mention in the introduction round, I'm pretty much interested in something you might know or not. It's called sociocracy or sociocracy. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. Have you heard about it? It's very much about consensus and reaching unanimous decisions. And I wondered during your presentation, which was very nice, by the way, if this system could be used in such a context, if you know about it. If you don't, doesn't matter.
I never heard about it, but I'm really curious now.
Okay, I'll put a link in the Pirate Pad, but I don't want to dwell on this topic because it's blowing up everything again.
Sure. I will look at it tomorrow by myself. Thank you. Oh, by the way, before I finish, there are 2 or 3 papers describing Vilfredo and also a couple of videos in my YouTube channels. So if you want to know a little bit more and I'm not around, you always can ask me, but if not, if I'm not around, you can also look over there.
And where we can find it?
I'll dig those links now and them on the Pirate Pad.
Have a look on your site. You have very good presentation about deliberation, and also you're very experienced with complex system in the background of chemistry. Can you make the bridge to the to what we're doing at the moment from the chemistry part? Do you see parallels to that?
Not really, because a molecule doesn't care if it doesn't enter or not in a reaction. Whereas with human beings, I try to keep a fair to make the system really, really fair. So that's a little bit of a limit in this. But it's a nice hint. I might investigate it in the future. I have to admit I have thought a little bit about it a long time ago, but then I left and I don't remember exactly why. I just decided it wasn't that path wasn't actually leading to something. If you have an idea, maybe you have you might reach something that I wasn't able to reach.
No, you are expert on these 2 areas, so I'm asking you. I don't expect something from me. I'm just curious because you go in this 2 different direction, and maybe there are something where there's a common ground. So I was curious, just asking you.
By the way, I have one.
Well, we can say that there might be philosophical connection, but the kind of mathematical tools that I use in one, which is a theory of groupoid, and the kind of mathematical tools that I use in the other, which is Pareto front, are quite different. I do use Pareto front inside when I speak about chemical system. You can make some sort of you can apply a groupoid theory, that kind of algebra, when you're actually speaking about a discussion. So you might say that 2 proposals, you put them together and they generate another proposal, and the result system would be the. But honestly, the fact is that when you have two molecules, they tend to react in only one or two ways. But if you have two different proposals, they can react in a lot of different ways. So the result is that I'm afraid it would go into a lot of philosophy and not enough practicalities at this point. But thanks for the hint.
Okay. As I understand, you said from your system that is usable up to 15 people. That's right?
This system, yes, unfortunately. I mean, we have tried with 15, with 17, and we have added tools so that, for example, people now can see who have voted for what, and at the time they couldn't. So it might be possible that by adding more tools, so we can slightly push the limit, but don't expect 100 people.
That's something which interests me, because in the course of your good presentation, I always had to think of the system which Thomas E. introduced, and based on this thought, I have one question. So the limit of persons is approximately 15 persons. Could the system be designed in a way that the limit is not 15 persons, but 15 groups? So instead of a typical one single person, you have rather a representative of a group. And for what the representative stands is the result of a working process of his backing team or his group. Have you ever thought of something like this?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. In fact, I was thinking at some point to suggest it for the COP meeting, where each nation would actually be one person. Before I realized that the limit was 15, when I thought the limit could be up to 100 or 200, I thought, well, what if each nation is one of those people, of those participants, and you have 170 nations. So absolutely have one big group presenting their document, that group looking at all the documents and having their internal team evaluate each document with the voting and so on, and then doing this. Absolutely.
And what I would like to know is how we can join our forces. What do you think? What we can do together?
Well, we can do it in two ways. One is, once you have found a group of technical people that wants to explore a particular question, like we are in this moment, for example, we can just fire it and let it run, and that would give an answer for that technical team. That's one way. Another one is once you have faithful in the system, you have found that the system does what I advertise that it does, because you cannot, unless you have a good deal of trust, then try to do what has just been suggested, which is to use it to organize different groups. Because one of the things that it does, which is this sort of semantic division, that is very rare. I never found any other system doing that. Oh, and by the way, the system has what we call rooms. So you also can get a room and ask a question over there that will not be visible in the common room, and so you can have also all the privacy that you want.
So you on the one side, you're looking forward that we have a technical team in order to use your solution. And the second proposal is, when I get it right, is let's wait till we have the system in order to use it like a plug-in your system in order to work together.
Yes, something like that. Those are the two ways in which I can see it working.
And how do you think, what do you think, how have to be designed our system and that your system fit to our system as a plugin?
Ha! Good question. I have no idea. I really have no idea. It is open source. I mean, right now you have to remember there are two systems inside. One of them is open source, which is this one that I presented to you. The other one is public source, which means you can see the source code. Well, you are the pirate party, so well, whatever. But the person who is presenting, who has done most of the coding, have asked that people do not use the code, do not reuse the code. That's the bubbles that I have not presented it at all. So the part that you're interested in is open source. Now we have done a plugin on Facebook, but for the bubbles, not for this one. So I don't know. I mean,
let's make a proposal.
I'm really sorry. I would have to.
And then, okay, we use, for example, a group can have a standpoint. So this could be the outcoming of your system. And what one person said is in our language, one opinion. So what the people are saying is opinion, so it can be integrated in our system. And what is the outcoming of your system is the standpoint of the whole group. Made that sense to you?
Thinking. So you get all the so you're thinking about how to integrate liquid feedback with Vilfredo. Is that correct?
No, not liquid feedback. We are talking about the discussion system, and we want to create a discussion system in that way that we can plug in different kind of solutions. So we have a kind of description, very rough description, and one description is one person can give an opinion to a topic, and the other description is one group is a consensus of a group can we name it standpoint. So in order to see how to integrate your system is any
sorry, slow. Sorry, I need you to slow down because I do not understand some words every now and then. So I need you to stop, to be able to stop you and say, can you please explain me here? Because if not, you go forward and then I forget them. What are standpoints?
And standpoints for us is the outcoming of a group. Is supported by a group of people, and that is our standpoint. So to compare it with your system is the outcoming of your system, because you said your system works very good between 5 and 50 people. So for me, this is a group, and the result of your system, of this group, we call standpoint. You call it consensus. It's a consensus of the group, but for the whole discussion of the whole society is just the standpoint of that group of your system.
Okay, I got it.
A Standpunkt is a point of view. So what he's talking about is the point of view of a certain group.
Okay, I got it. Yes, I mean, essentially you can have this group. I don't know how you can do it as a plugin so far right now, and it would need some work. But essentially, I'm sorry, I'm completely lost.
Okay.
Okay.
What I'm trying just is to give you to explain two concepts, and at the moment we don't have an answer, but I can give you an idea how we can maybe make it. So one idea is to use metadata, and in order that you work in your system as before, and the outcoming you see normally in the web page, and we could put metadata to the outcoming. So all the different opinions of a person is marked like opinion, and the result of the one topic in your system is marked like the standpoint. and you can put this very easily as a metadata, as a tag to all your outcoming what you have your system. And that way, other system can take your information of your system and knows what kind of information is it about. That's it.
So you do not actually need to know all the internal dynamic and everything that happened. You just need to have a list of all the proposal in an XML file with one of those proposal, or that is the final consensus. Essentially, we tend to have three different levels. A proposal that didn't reach the Pareto front, a proposal that reached the Pareto front, a proposal that reached the Pareto front was voted by everybody. Those would be the three levels.
Okay, and the three levels is the outcoming of the group.
The three levels are the every generation you end up having either a Pareto front and non-Pareto front, or a consensus, a Pareto front, and non-Pareto front. And if you reach the consensus, then the discussion has ended. But of course, you need also to decide what to do if the system reached a polarization. Sometimes a group does not reach a consensus. What we normally do in that case what is to just move into range voting, at least with bubbles. That is, you cannot do more than this, so you just ask everybody to rate the proposal, you sum those rates, and what comes out is a good approximation of what the system, of what the people want. But you can use also Schulz voting over here, for example. That would also work.
Okay, what do you think about the solution when we have two different kind of position in this one group, that you can create from this one group two groups, and though you have two consensus?
That would be great.
Perfect.
Well, the problem is, I mean, are you happy about having two groups?
We are expecting a lot of different groups. So for me, it's normal. From personal, when you can group people about one position, so you get strong with this position or this standpoint. But it's normal that there are different kind of opinions, so they are creating different kind of groups with different kind of standpoints. So this will be normal, because you will have the problem of scaling, because nobody can read everything everywhere. And so the way of grouping is normal, and we have to use also this effect of grouping. So yes, that's fine for me at that point.
Very interesting, very interesting. Thank you.
Comment? I'm still not sure about the concept of a group, or I know what the concept is, but I find it has some kind of barriers to it, because I imagine, like in the Pareto front, or in the different generations, that depending on how the people vote, the groups can change very fluid, or like if one person changes its mind, or then it might belong to another group, and so it can switch from one group to another very quickly, so that it's maybe really hard to really define what's the group. Yeah, or maybe you can make a snapshot or at the specific point in time, and then you have groups, but they can change very fast. But if you it depends maybe on how you model the concept of a group in this system, but it might also create barriers where there would be none if you don't have the concept in it. So I'm not sure what's it good for.
But at the end, when we have different plugins, we have different kind of groups with different kind of technologies and how to reach there to their standpoint. So this is a basic design of our system, and a basic idea that we have a competition of different kind of plugins, and that way we have a different kind, a certain competition also of different groups and their standpoints.
The question is, what is to what system should it be plugging in?
This is a very important question. In my viewpoint, is that that the system consists only of plugins. So for me, there's no plugin to some things because the whole system consists only of plugins. But that we have to search out in the long run, like Git.
That would be a network of peer systems, it's not plugging in.
My idea is to use a meta language, so to translate the outcome of the different plugins in one language, one standard that is understood from everybody, and in that way we can exchange the information and the data from different plugins. This is how I would like to have it.
Maybe a better wording for plug-in is extension. So that's you're right. It's currently we're not aware if the plugins will plug into some real existing system. We have to define this, but it's also maybe better to think about extensions and extension points where we can add functionality to the overall system.
So you do have an overall system.
Yeah, maybe the internet is the overall system, or even some virtual idea can be the overall system. And maybe with some RDFI tags, it's possible to combine those different methods with each other. But this is still in progress, and we have to discuss how we will see the system and if the system is a real implementation in code, or if it's just something like a network. Don't know.
I can see that you're heading straight forward into some severe architectural problems there, but I would be happy to explain, but I think it's not the point now for doing so.
Darf ich vielleicht mal doch in Deutsch eine Frage stellen? Ich habe vielleicht nicht alle Details hier mitgekriegt, aber ich habe das also so verstanden, dass ein Pareto-Optimum für die Auswahl bestimmter Proposals gefunden wird und diese Funktionalität, die kann ich mir sehr hilfreich vorstellen, zum Beispiel für einen Moderator, der dann verschiedene Vorschläge für die Modifikation einer Kernaussage bekommen hat. Also insofern ist das auf jeden Fall relevant und ich könnte mir auch sehr gut vorstellen, dass eben so ein Pareto-Optimum über verschiedene Proposals auch an anderen Stellen als Plugin interessant wäre. Ich hätte allerdings
I needed to understand it, please, can someone translate?
I couldn't take notes for all what he said, but I think in principle you could say that Wolfgang thinks that your approach is very helpful and a very good tool for example, to help a moderator to lead a session to common sense.
Dankeschön. I didn't want to stop Wolfgang. Please continue.
Ich hatte eigentlich nur noch die Bemerkung machen wollen, dass hier natürlich die Gefahr besteht, dass man dann eine verhältnismäßig sehr kleine Informationsmenge ganz exakt verarbeitet. Und das erinnert mich dann an den Ausspruch, Fehler perfekt geplant. Also man darf sicher das Ergebnis einer solchen exakten Auswertung dann nun wieder nicht überbewerten. Also ich würde das dann schon gerne in der Hand eines Moderators sehen, der dann das eben auch nochmal entsprechend würdigt und filtert, ehe das dann umgesetzt wird.
Ich übersetze, was ich soweit mitgeschrieben habe. He sees the danger of going into too deep into details and make a most perfect document in very deep detail, but missing out the major points, and he refers to a system that creates a failure that's perfectly planned, and he sees the necessity to still have a human moderator to oversee the process and to give directions.
Im Prinzip einverstanden. Danke.
My system
Pietro, you can proceed. Wolfgang just said thank you.
Bitteschön. I have to say I very much am trying to make systems without human moderators, but that's it is a quest that I'm in. So maybe we should look at other tools right now or other ideas. I mean, I don't want to stop just on my system.
My opinion on this, you have two different opinions. So Pietro, you don't want moderators, and Wolfgang, you want moderators. And
Exactly.
within our solution, this is totally okay. We don't limit approaches, but we want to create a system where different approaches benefit from each other, and people have the possibility to test out both methods, and time will tell what approach is the best. And my opinion of your system or your discussion approach is that it's a very interesting addition for the whole ensemble, and it's definitely something which can be integrated into what we are thinking right now. And for me, this is just a technical question. So what you have, the elements of your approach is something which can be, which is also part of our current works.
Guys, I need to leave. So my suggestion is, or my idea is, how would it be if you take some time to clear the connection between Vilfredo, the software Pietro just explained, and the framework and everything in the system. So if today this would be cleared, then maybe we can have a next meeting, another meeting, which then could also be in German, because this question would then be clear already. What do you think?
If you are going to speak about voter role and the next one, if you could do it in English, I would love that. But after so many years, I still do not understand it well. So, but you know, if it's only me.
Okay, also good. Yeah.
Sorry. But you can explain it to me another time. Come on, you can explain it to me on Skype one time. Don't worry. Then just make the
But
meeting
I
in
think there
German.
are also others which want to know more about the system. I think that's a good idea. The problem is time currently. I think it's late now. And what we can do is, so I think it's too late to get a second concept explained and presented now. even for me, it's too late. Maybe you can do this, but I need to quit also in a few minutes. But what I want to know is, Pietro, can you imagine that your system is part of a bigger system which gives the users the ability to choose the right approach for the discussion the person wants to run?
Essentially, we have just submitted a EU proposal when this is exactly what is happening. So yes, I have absolutely no problem in imagining it. I just have to remember what we wrote in the proposal.
Pietro's system would nicely fit into my system, because my system is more on the grand scale, while Pietro is more on the small scale.
One thing that I really would invite you to look at is that this system doesn't work for every kind of question. It works for how questions, and it doesn't work for what questions.
Okay, yeah, I got this. So you explained it in the beginning of your speech, and this is what exactly is what we want to solve with our approach, that we have different kinds of solutions as plugins or extension points or however we name it. And yeah, your solution can be one specialized extension point or plugin for the overall decision-making system or the discussion system to have those how questions solved. And this is a great approach. I love it.
Wunderbar. You want to speak some words of German?
I didn't get it.
I said, you see, I can speak some words of German. I can say wunderbar.
Sehr gut.
Wunderbar.
Which means wonderful.
That's fantastic. There's one little issue I found now here in the list of links to Vilfredo, which is the last one I found is not working. Can we maybe repair this during this session? Thanks.
Which one is not working? The last one?
The one to the Git repository.
The one to the Git repository is not working. Oops, sorry.
But maybe I'm expecting there's some code or something like this, and maybe it's only a list of texts or so. I'm not sure.
No. It is a. Wait a second. They close the parentheses at the end. Take away the closed parentheses at the end.
Well, that shouldn't be the problem, but I'm testing again. Okay, looks better. So is there the code for the open source part of Vilfredo as well?
For the open source part of Vilfredo, yes, is in Google Code. Let me find it. I added it at the end of the Piratenpad. One thing is that the programmer with which I am working is right now in Greece, and I haven't heard from him in 3 days. I hope he's still okay. So it might take some time if we needed to modify things. There are some parts on which he is definitely better than me. I am better in the algorithmic and the mathematics side.
What's
And he
the main
prefers
language,
me
by the way?
code too much. Sorry?
What's the main programming language, by the way, used?
PHP, MySQL, the usual.
Okay, thanks.
There's also some JavaScript. Well, the Bubbles has a lot of JavaScript, but in the old one there isn't much.
Question to the moderator, if there is any. How much time is this going to take?
Can we stop here?
I was talking about the meeting today.
Okay, Alex.
Okay, yeah, we didn't make a time limit yet, so but probably it's too late to start presenting another system. So we should probably make another meeting and maybe one meeting for every system if we want to go into the details. But I find it quite informing to have Vilfredo presented in such details. So I don't know if you think that too. So maybe we should make one meeting for every system. Yeah.
I'm very happy with the level of detail we got from Pietro. Thank you very much.
Yes,
I
thank you.
am very happy about the ideas that I got from all of you.
So for me, question is what are the next steps? And one idea is to present each concept or ID in a separate meeting, which I think is a good idea. And problem maybe is the time. So in general, we meet on Mondays at 9 p.m. So the question is, should we doodle the time and date when to have the next meeting?
Or could we stick to Monday? Monday is a good time.
So not for all, I think.
I hate Mondays. Most of the time I can't join.
I'm also for the doodle solution because not everyone can be present at Monday.
And we will also record all those sessions. So for those ones who can't participate, there is also the recording. And I think this is a good solution because for me, especially most other days except Mondays are bad ones. So it would be hard to find a date. And I think, Alex, you started with this doodle, and maybe you can continue to organize those concept presentations. I would appreciate that.
Okay, sure, I can do that. And for me, if the meetings are recorded, then that would be nice because then I can listen to them during the next couple of days.
Okay, but Doodle will give us the next date then.
I have two things I would like to say. The first one is I think that the doodle should be limited to 1 week so that we kind of decide when in next week are we going to have the meeting, and the doodle should be done by the Friday before. So by Friday, I know that next week between Monday and Sunday, I know exactly when the meeting is going to be. And second, are those recordings going to be public and permanently stored? I mean, can I actually make a link to the presentation, to the thing that I said over here, and tweet about it, because other people might be interested?
Yeah, sure.
I will answer this, yes. First of all, I'd like to give you the link to our to the wiki site of our working group, and at the bottom of this site there is a section for all protocols that were done by us in the course of our sessions. And wait a minute, I want to post the link now. This is the wiki site of which I was speaking, and since recently we also started to record our sessions. There you will see a link, Audio-Protokoll, and this link is not totally permanently saved because the data size of one recording is too huge for us to upload it to our wiki. So we are dependent on a file hoster, and as you know, the file hoster doesn't store data for eternity. So I strongly recommend you and also others to download the Audio-Protokoll so that irrespective of one person, the working group always has the possibility to re-upload the Audio-Protokolls. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so Alex, I think also it's a good idea to make those doodles just for the next upcoming week, and maybe we should. So, what do you think? When should we decide which concept and idea will be presented in the next week? So, when we say, okay, next will be, for example, Ronald to describe his ideas, then he may fix the date.
Good idea.
Yeah, we started top down, so next one would be Ronald, I think. If you want to.
Yeah, that's fine for me. And Monday's also fine for me.
Can we also publish what the language will be?
Okay, so I think the description of the description of the ideas and the presentation of the concepts should be in English, I think, so that you can participate. And we also need to think about to write our documents in English in the future. So maybe, yeah, we will become a more international team, and then we can't stuck on German language.
That's very, very kind of you. Thank you very much.
I think it's important.
I like it too.
I think it's important for both sides to have a closer look on what the other side is doing. So in the last sessions of our working group, we tried to formulate our basic idea, and this basic idea, actually this process is ready for now, and so it can develop, but we have made a point so far, and it's in German, and I think it's a good idea for us to start to translate into English, and so that when you look on the wiki site, you can learn more about our working group and have a closer insight in what we are doing. And and on the other side, you have to consider that lots of people here in this group heard from your project for the first time, and so we have huge input to reflect now, and for us it's a good idea to have a closer look on your tool as well. Yeah.
My suggestion would be to actually fire a couple of questions yourself, and possibly some questions that are not solved in the first or second generation, because really the way in which it works, you get it through participation. I mean, it's very difficult to understand it intellectually. Also for me, when I got the system in an intuition, but then it really took months before I really get it, and I'm still kind of understanding it in some way. What does that? On the other side, one of the things that I would like you to think about is how can we change the user interface once you have understood it to make it more intuitive. Not just what the people have to do, but what the meaning of what they are going to do is going to be respect to the result.
For me, this sounds like a plug-in issue, and particularly an issue which can be solved. It's not that we are all just a bunch of programmers. Just for instance, me, I have a background as an architect and an interior architect, so I'm more into from the designer section, and I'm sure if once we've had a closer look on the tools, then the ideas for making them more visually attractive will come.
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay, so I think we're through, or it looks like we're through, and I will create a new email, send it out, and then probably we will meet on next Monday, but I will also create another doodle, so just in case.
Hold on, Roland have to present it, so I think it's very important that he fixes the date when he is disponible, and when he can speak and present it. So he should fix the dates, what date you want to doodle.
As I said, Monday is fine for me.
Yeah, that's what I remembered. That's why I said it.
So we don't need doodle at that moment.
Okay, but maybe for the next week or upcoming weeks.
And just to see who's able to participate and see how many.
And maybe I can add a short text to the doodle link that Monday is our usual date for having meetings. So just in case if other developers from somewhere want to describe their idea, they know if it's possible for them to present on Monday, it would be better.
The end of the session is coming nearer, and so I decide to push the stop button of the recording. And just to inform you, the recording lasted 2 hours and 18 minutes.